Welcome back to World Crisis Radio, continuing, hopefully completing our review of 2010 in terms of the breakdown crisis and the depression in response to this really speculator-induced crisis. This is a cynical, conspiratorial attack by hedge fund hyenas meeting in places like Moness, Crespi, and Hart with the presence of Soros and others, attacking the euro through the obvious weak points, the Greeks, the Portuguese, the Spanish, the Irish, maybe the Belgians and the Italians come next. And instead, the response, instead of shutting down the speculators or putting a short squeeze on them and wiping them out and banning them, has been to propitiate them with austerity programs. The austerity programs have caused a degree of social chaos, but now at the end of the year, we'd have to say the whole European protest movement against austerity is a failure. And it's a failure not because you didn't have mass forces. You did have mass forces, but through the lack of programmatic ideas. And we stress programmatic ideas because that's what we're offering on this radio program. We deal in programmatic ideas. The one missing ingredient that these huge European parties and unions didn't want to have, but didn't have certainly, has made them a failure. Nobody has been ousted. Not one serious austerity plan has been rolled back. Look, the French, they put up a good show, but Prime Minister Fillon, the usual thing in the French Fifth Republic is if the regime gets in trouble, the Prime Minister is ousted. It's happened dozens of times. Fillon is still there. He's not out. How about Papandreou of Greece? He's still there, a socialist. Socrates, in Portugal, so-called socialist, he's still there. Zapatero of Spain, still there. The Sinn Féin, the Fianna Fáil, the Fianna Fáil of Ireland, right? The Men of Destiny, they're still there. Stress on the fail, huh? And Cameron and Clegg in Britain, despite the affront to Prince Charles and the horsewoman there, they're also still in power. Nobody has been knocked out. All of this Sturm und Drang, and nobody has been rolled back. Nobody has been forced to take it back. So it's a failure. So you got to ask yourself, dear Euro protesters, right? We're full of sympathy for your goals. What is missing is that you've got to have programmatic solutions. You can't just say, we don't want to pay. You've got to say who should pay. Better yet, the Tobin tax. Better still, the seizing of the European Central Bank and 0% credit for production. And if you can do that at the euro level, that's a big step forward. Don't give up on that until you've really tried it. And this fight is just beginning. And, of course, ultimately, if you can't do it at the euro level, if it breaks up, then you've got to do it in your own local central bank. So that's one big failure. Now, at the end of the year in December, we've learned that there's this secret committee. The New York Times on the 11th of September writes of a secret derivatives cartel committee with monthly meetings. Now, this is a violation of antitrust law. This is a blatant prima facie violation of Sherman antitrust and Clayton antitrust, plus the securities laws of the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission Act of 1933. Who is in the cartel? It's interesting. Remember, the definition of fascism in economic terms is a government-sponsored compulsory cartel, but that's not enough. It has to have specific goals to lower production, to lower wages, and to deny services, and to prop up derivatives or other speculative paper issued by financier oligarchs. And that's what we have. We have an example of the fascist corporate state, because this operates essentially through the nonfeasance of the Holder and Shapiro and Gensler regimes in the relevant regulatory agencies. So they're setting prices. Who is in it? J.P. Morgan Chase through Thomas Benison, Morgan Stanley with James J. Hill, not the railroad baron, but the derivatives baron. We got Deutsche Bank, good U.S. institution, with Athanasios Diplas. You've got UBS, Union Bank of Switzerland, from the Bahnhofstrasse with Paul Hamill. You've got Barclays of London with Paul Mitsokostas. You've got Credit Suisse, also of Zurich, with Andy Hubbard. You've got Goldman Sachs with Oliver Frankel. You've got Bank of America with Ali Balali. Bilal? No, Ali Balali. Citigroup with Biswarup Chatterjee. Now, it's interesting. If you have some theory that some ethnic group dominates the world, you're going to have to figure this one out, because we could make a case for all kinds of different ethnic conspiracies. I won't take the time, but it simply shows the absurdity of that point of view, the absurdity of looking at things in those terms. And this is all chaired and set up by the ICE Trust. That's the London Intercontinental Exchange, through the ICE Trust and the ISDA, the International Swaps and Derivatives Association. We're now told it's the powerful, the influential International Swaps and Derivatives Association. And remember, they were lobbying Congress. Yes, indeed. They had a big hand in writing the Dodd-Frank bill through Scott Brown, who drives a truck. He drives a truck for the International Swaps and Derivatives Association, and this is the big bucks. This is such a cartel that we're told Bank of New York Mellon, which was the back office of the TARP bailout, has been excluded. They claim that they've been excluded. And the Citadel Hedge Fund with Ken Griffin, they've also been excluded. And there's a parallel but lesser secret cartel committee at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, which is also attempting to compete with this, but it's very one-sided. This seems to be the center of the action. And the idea is, when you have a market, you're supposed to have a bid and an ask, which is public. It's got to be publicly stated, either on a screen or through open outcry or whatever it is. But in this case, it's a black box. You're told what, if you ask, how much is an oil future, they'll tell you what they'll sell it to you for, but they won't tell you the bid and the ask. And the buyer doesn't know what the seller is getting, and the seller doesn't know what the buyer is paying. So this is a complete anti-market conspiracy. Gee, I wonder if all these Tea Party representatives are going to take this up, because this violates the free market, doesn't it? This is a cartel. This is a state-sponsored compulsory cartel for those purposes that qualifies as the fascist corporate state. And, of course, don't wait for Holder or any of these others to do anything about it. Now, put that together with the fact that the price of oil is now over $90, the price of gasoline now over $3. This, I think, might be the way that Obama will finally go down, because he's not going to fight this. The people will have to fight it. If you want to stop such a speculative attack, we have been recommending this now since the summer of 2008. You've got to impose 100% margin requirements, that you're not allowed to speculate in the oil market using borrowed money. There have got to be position limits so that a huge zombie bank can't come in and buy up and overwhelm what is essentially a rather restricted market. You've got to have a systematic distinction between end users, people who are actually going to take delivery of the stuff and use it. They qualify as hedgers, and speculators. You cannot have naked shorting. You cannot have naked credit default swaps or any other kind of naked derivative. And most obviously is you've got to impose even the existing antitrust law would shut these people down. The existing antitrust law would have shut down the idea dinner there at Moness, Crespi, and Hart back in February. But the existing Sherman and Clayton antitrust acts would shut down that cartel that we've just talked about. And that means you've got to do that. You've got to enforce the applicable law. We hear all about the rule of law versus illegal immigrants and God knows what. How about right here? This is an issue of some public importance. So you want to stop speculation, that's what it is. And this rise in the oil price is pure speculation, it's dirty speculation, call it that. So that is more or less where we are right now as we look for the next lurch into a deeper valley of the depression ahead of us. And we'll be back in a minute on World Crisis Radio.